636 at News Radio 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. And you did the story yesterday, and I heard it on national news all day. And it was one of those ones I sort of half paid attention to. And then when I finally, I don't want to say the weight of the story, but when the facts finally sunk in, Kim Kardashian was robbed at gunpoint in her Paris hotel room of $10.5 million in stuff.
Yeah.
What?
Who travels with that kind of stuff?
Evidently really rich people.
Wow.
$10.5 million in stuff.
Jewelry and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Golly.
Now, I mean, look, you know they're staying. I mean, can you imagine what the hotel room that she and Kanye stay in?
I saw a report that she was actually staying with some wealthy friends in their home. So I don't know if it's that was conflicting reports for me. So I'm not sure if it was a hotel or if it really was.
See, everything I saw said hotel.
I know. I saw a late one this morning. That
and it's
said,
a really big, nice room. And when you stay in really big, nice rooms, which really are multiple rooms.
How did someone get in there?
I don't know.
And her mom was traveling with her, so I guess her mom's in a nearby room. You know, I thought about that. I said, why is mom not in the same room?
And
you get separate
when
rooms?
you stay in a hotel like that, you have to take enough stuff to fill up the room.
Yeah, but don't you put it in a safe?
Evidently not.
A lot of those hotel rooms have safes.
If you're spending literally $15,000 a night for a hotel room,
you want to be able to leave your jewelry on the dresser.
You assume that people aren't going to be able to break in.
Yeah. Have they caught these thugs yet?
And so you know that whatever was stolen, look, $10.5 million of stuff. You know the hotel's going to be paying that back with a lot of interest.
Oh, absolutely.
News Radio 710 Keel 639. Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. Right now, Rapid Ruben. The young man has all the traffic info. He's ready to go.
Everything's still all clear and running smooth for your early morning drive to work, but expect some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near Russell Road due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, dial our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
No big changes just yet to our forecast. Likely going to see sunny skies across the area today. Warm temperature readings continue to warm up even more. Forecast highs today close to about 90, 91 degrees with the south to southeasterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And still no rain in our forecast. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
Good morning, 641 at News Radio 710 Keel. The latest way to show disrespect for the national anthem. Have you seen this one? I mean, this started off, I got a question for you. The latest trend in national anthem protests is not to remain seated, is not to take a knee, but the latest protest is to do the Black Power fist.
Oh,
to do the yes, to raise your, ugh. And so here's my question to you. While remaining standing, are the guys that are doing that, are they just chicken? In other words, are they not Is this their way of still showing respect for America and yet protesting whatever they feel needs to be protested? Or are they afraid to sit down, to remain seated, or afraid to take a knee?
No, that's still a protest for me. That's still, an action.
But they're standing up.
Yeah, that's still a
I
protest.
mean, does it occur to you maybe if these guys doing the Black Power, so maybe if they really had a set, they'd do it sitting down. They'd stage a sit-in.
No, I think
they'd remain seated. They'd take it. So who do you think?
I think that's pretty strong.
Whose protest do you think is more? Well, evidently not, because they're not getting nearly the coverage that Kaepernick got for remaining seated.
Because they're not the first.
Or for taking a knee.
Now they're everywhere. Everywhere people are doing protests.
High school football team stages die-in to protest national anthem. Have you talked to either of your sons about that?
Yeah, I have actually.
Both of them Marines, by the way, if you don't know.
Yeah, they don't quite understand it. Yeah. But I talked to them about, don't you appreciate that people have that right in this country? They get that, but they're like, what about the people who die and who are out here,
or the ones like them who are risking their lives?
Yeah, every day. I mean, my little one is he literally right now, as we speak, is sleeping in a tent in the middle of a desert, I can't say much else, with tarantulas and scorpions. In a tent, in the desert, with tarantulas and scorpions. That's where he is. That's what he's doing.
A California high school football team staged a bizarre die-in to protest the singing of the national anthem. The Castlemont High School Knights from Oakland, California. Wow. The national anthem started, they all collapsed. And guess who was on hand? Guess who was at that game that night?
Who?
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, boy.
Quoting now, I had to come out and stand with y'all. You're my brothers. I'm here with you. During the national anthem, when the children, the high school team collapsed to the ground, Kaepernick once again simply took a knee. I had mentioned last week when we were talking a little bit about Colin Kaepernick. Actually, we started talking about this when I was talking about the fact that Tim Tebow in the instructional league, in baseball instructional league for the Mets in Florida, had hit a home run on his first at bat. In fact, his first pitch in instructional league. And I got to thinking about when he was still playing in the NFL. And it was, it was the Broncos. Help me, Parky. The Broncos, then the Jets.
He made the practice squad for the Eagles, but they cut him at one time.
And then he went to New England and was released by the Patriots, and that was his last shot. But if you remember when he was with the Broncos, and then, well, not so much with the Jets because he didn't play that much, but he would, to thank his God, to praise his Lord, would get down on one knee.
Yeah.
And he was pilloried and mocked and made fun of. There was a Saturday Night Live bit that made fun of Tebowing. Okay, remember that was what it was called? Tebowing.
Right.
When he was released, when he didn't have a team, there were, and I read you the quotes, there were NFL executives. There were executives, there were scouts, there were management people from NFL teams that said, we'd like to give him a shot. He's just not worth, quote, the distraction. So a man who gets down on one knee to praise his Lord is a distraction.
Too big of a distraction.
Who's not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
And yet a player who gets down on one knee to protest the national anthem is by the same media that mocked, that pilloried, that attempted to marginalize, that made fun of Tim Tebow. Colin Kaepernick basically assumes the same position, obviously for a different reason. And he's on the cover of Damn Time magazine.
Yeah. Priorities, they're very twisted.
One man takes a knee to honor his God and is made fun of. The other takes a knee to dishonor his flag. And is
praised
and is patted on the back.
I don't get that. I like the right to free speech. I get that, and I understand that. But I think, golly, think of all the people who've died. Think of all the people who are out there right now as you and I sit in this nice, cozy studio, or as you're headed to a nice job, this morning where you've got AC and, you've got a great lunch rate.
Well, let me ask you something else related to that, because obviously it's a trend across America now with young people. High school teams, middle school teams, even elementary school teams. The NBA season's getting ready to start. Mark Cuban, owner of the Mavericks, said he encourages that kind of protest. At what point, how many people have to do that before America's not America anymore? And maybe that's their point. Maybe these guys, right on, maybe they're just pawns in the game. Mm-hmm. Useful idiots who don't really see what the end game of the real manipulators, the real evil people is. News Radio 710 KEEL 648, Robert and Aaron Fletcher in sports. That feller's on the way, and Your Money Now. Your Money Now is up next on News Radio 710 KEEL. This part of the show powered by Avalone Door and Iron Works, raising garage door standards one home at a time. $6.49, $6.50. Your Money Now on KEEL.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Louisiana Tech is hoping some defensive depth chart shuffling that paid off in a win over UTEP Saturday carries over to Thursday night's date with Western Kentucky. The Bulldogs are 3-point underdogs at home to the visiting Hilltoppers. The Dogs' defense was gashed by Texas Tech and Middle Tennessee, but rebounded to limit the Miners to 7 points. Granted, Tech isn't alone in struggling against the Red Raiders and Blue Raiders, who rank first and 10th in the country in total defense, in total offense. Several moves on the defensive side of the ball paid dividends Saturday, with fresh starters Damarian King leading the squad in tackles with 12 and Russell Ferris next with 10. Western Kentucky brings a prolific passing attack to Joe IE Stadium for the midweek Conference USA Showdown, leaving little room for error for Louisiana Tech. Minnesota improved to 4-0 with a belting of the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. The 24-10 win was keyed by the Vikings defense, who have allowed only 50 points all season and harassed Eli Manning into 20 incompletions, and also limited Odell Beckham Jr. to just 23 yards receiving on 3 catches. Without Adrian Peterson, the Vikings are relying on their defense and an error-free Sam Bradford to power the ship. Bradford was an efficient 26 out of 36 for 262 yards and a touchdown. Minnesota picked off Manning in the third quarter, running their turnover margin this season to a league best, plus 10. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
News Radio 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty, 654. What's a walk-in?
A walk-in? What do you mean?
In
Walk-in freezer?
No, well, that too. You had a Jackie Lansdale story. And you said teachers are going to have like a walk-in. Or people what is a walk-in?
That's essentially where teachers, walk around the school or walk wherever they've decided they're going to get together. And they'll just walk. They might hold signs. They might,
But this is about school buses and stuff. What's the deal? Why would they be up? What is it? Are they complaining? Is this a minor protest of sorts? Explain to me exactly what's going on. You've got the story in front of you.
Well, they're holding a national walk-in for public education at 3 Caddo schools. It's all going to be happening on Thursday morning. They're going to go at Keithville Elementary Middle School. Then they'll move to South Highlands. I don't think they're walking from Keithville to South Highlands.
But the way you described it, I don't think this could be. I don't think it could be described as a protest, but rather a rally of sorts.
Yeah, I think that's closer to what it really is. They're going to be doing it at Fair Park as well later on in the morning, and it's going on Thursday morning. They're hoping to draw attention to what a great deal public education is, and that we do need to value our teachers. I mean, their message is we need to value our teachers. So, we shall see. We asked her that question.
When Jackie Lansdale, pardon me, allergies. Mm-hmm. When Jackie Lansdale says we need to value our teachers, does she mean they need more money?
Well, yeah, of course. We're coming up on the vote of higher insurance premiums, health insurance premiums.
Like I said to Miss Jackie, welcome to my world.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And they have said, and this, for some people, Robert, could be the last straw. I mean, I've paid for my own supplies. I've taken up more jobs because you haven't hired my next door teacher, et cetera.
She said to us, remember, we got to go to break for rush. She said nothing is off. No action.
Yeah, I said, would you consider a walkout?
She said nothing's off the table.
Right.
News Radio 710 Keel 656. Rush Limbaugh time right now.
Everything's still looking pretty clear for your drive to work or school this morning, but expect normal traffic delays on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
The KEEL Morning Show with Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Good morning at 7:03 at News Radio 710 KEEL. Robert and Aaron, big local news. Wait till you hear. She's got the stories up next.
BRF and the state reach an agreement. We'll talk more about that. A 16-year-old local student is locked up today. We'll tell you why. And another murder in Shreveport, the 34th of the year.
Sorry, was asleep at the wheel. I was thinking about questions for Senator Tarver and Representative Glover, who will both be joining us just after 7:30 to talk about that hospital and med school deal. Fletcher and sports, traffic and weather on the nines, all coming up this hour, right here on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Our Planet Fitness.
The KEEL Morning Report. Now on News Radio 710 KEEL.
BRF and the governor come to terms. Matt Parker has that.
Governor John Bel Edwards and BRF have successfully renegotiated a management deal that would keep BRF operating LSU's charity hospitals in Monroe and Shreveport. According to a statement released by the governor's office, BRF will provide $37 million in additional payments to LSU doctors and pay $6.9 million to LSU for unpaid bills. The governor hopes to have a signed agreement on his desk in the next couple of days. I'm Matt Parker, News Radio 710 KEEL.
A 16-year-old Woodlawn student locked up after allegedly posting threats on social media. According to police, the teenage girl made posts on Instagram claiming she would kidnap and kill students and teachers from Woodlawn and Fair Park. The teen was arrested and booked for terrorizing into the juvenile lockup. Shreveport records the 34th murder of the year. 3 men shot during an exchange of gunfire on Travis Street. Police say 1 man is dead, 2 others were wounded. The incident remains under investigation. Red River United holding a national walk-in for public education at 3 Caddo schools this week.
What we're asking people to recognize the beauty of public education, and that if we want to invest in our boys and girls in our schools, you invest in those who provide the services, which are teachers and school employees.
Union President Jackie Lansdale says the walk-in begins at 7:20 Thursday morning at Keithville Elementary, moves to South Highlands at 8:15, ends up at Fair Park at 8:45. New Orleans will now be able to communicate with ICE officials about potential illegal immigrants in their custody. State Attorney General Jeff Landry tells us what he thinks New Orleans needs to do about its sanctuary city policy.
They should release their law enforcement officers to basically be free to ask the same questions that they ask American citizens in their custody. And that would be, if you don't have a driver's license, if we can't find any driver's license information on you, if we can't find out where you've come from, then the next question is, are you actually in this country legally?
Landry says the change in the Big Easy was made about 72 hours before he was slated to testify before the U.S. House on the issue. The 5th annual Veterans Parade and Honor Ceremony set for next month. Angela Thomas has that.
It'll be held at the Louisiana State Fairgrounds Sunday, November 13th, beginning at 2 p.m. This year's Grand Marshal is Colonel Joey Strickland, the Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs. The day of the parade, all veterans and active duty military personnel and their families will get free admission and parking at the fair. Free American flags will be handed out to the first 5,000 people to enter that day. Angela Thomas, 710 KEEL.
The National Transportation Safety Board says crews are working 12-hour shifts to clear debris from a New Jersey transit train that crashed into Hoboken Terminal. They still haven't been able to extract the recorder from the train's front car. President Obama welcomes the nation's innovators to South by South Lawn, a White House festival of ideas, art, and action. The president talking with actor and activist Leonardo DiCaprio about the danger of climate change.
The good news is that in the past, where we create an incentive for companies, it turns out that we're more creative, we're more innovative, we typically solve the problem cheaper, faster than we expected, and we create jobs in the process.
Thousands of nurses in Minnesota are on strike for a 5th week. The nurses with 5 Alena Health hospitals have rejected the company's latest contract proposal. Lots of sunshine today with a high temp near 87 degrees. Right now it's 63. I'm Erin McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
9 past 7 at News Radio 710 Keel. Traffic and weather time. Rapid Ruben tells all.
Everything's still looking pretty clear for your drive to work or school this morning, but expect normal traffic delays on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today, probably close to about 90, 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature is warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
It's 11 past 7 o'clock at News Radio 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. And over yonder, headphones askew, akimbo. I don't know if that's the right word. Matt Parker.
Is he growling now?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to turn my mic on.
I was watching. God, I don't know what I was just flipping across the TV yesterday, watching, and I come across this old episode of Death Valley Days.
Yeah,
from like the mid 1950s. And there's
love
this
that show.
Guy who's like dying in the desert, and he's trying to crawl across the water. And there was a desperation and hopelessness to his voice that I can own. I said, you know who that reminds me of? Matt. Good Lord.
Speaking of TV and things you probably aren't going to watch anymore, are you going to watch the vice presidential debate tonight?
I didn't watch the presidential debate.
What is wrong with you?
Because I've told you before. Because other than those gotcha moments about which I care nothing, literally nothing. There's look at me. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that Hillary Clinton could do. There's nothing she could say.
Right.
Nothing.
I get that.
That would get me to vote for her.
Don't you want to see if one of them's a heartbeat away from the presidency? Don't you want to see, are they competent?
Hillary is so... what
if she wins and she dies? Don't you want to know what Kane's like?
He's got to be... Look, you want me to tell you about Tim Kaine? He's a professed Roman Catholic who says, I'm against abortion. What I asked you yesterday, Tim Kaine, a Roman Catholic, I am a faithful Roman. He says he's against abortion personally, but supports a woman's right to choose. And I said to you, isn't that like saying in Germany in 1942, I'm against the Nazis, but I, they've got their right to exterminate entire races of people. Isn't that the same thing?
I guess kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what more do I need to know?
I know. Well, it'll be on tonight on Keel. If you're not going to watch on TV, you're going to be out and about. You can listen tonight beginning at 7:30. We'll do all the pregame. And
I'll listen for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to be on.
No, that's not what I meant.
You're going to listen for me?
No, I didn't mean I'll listen for you like to be on.
I'm not going to be on the debate.
VP McCarty.
I'm not one of the panelists. No, they didn't call and invite me.
They've done the deal. Biomedical Research Foundation and the state of Louisiana they've reached an agreement reached an agreement. So BFR.
BRF.
I don't know. I'm going to say something wrong here in a second. Biomedical Research Foundation will continue to manage, to operate both the med school and university health. Mm-hmm. We will have just after 7:30 State Representative Cedric Glover and State Senator Greg Tarver to discuss the deal.
Together.
Are there people? Look, Mr. Gregg has told us 3 or 4 times. He all but said, I'm not going out on a limb to say that Greg Tarver thinks that Biomedical Research Foundation is inept. Mm-hmm. That they were mismanaging both operations.
Right.
How could he possibly be happy with this deal? How could he get on the radio with us and say, I've rethought?
I guess because the doctors will be getting more money. I don't know. A little bit more. It's not a whole lot. The details have yet to be released in full.
And Cedric said repeatedly that there are politicians, power brokers in Baton Rouge who want to steal our medical school, or at least choke it to death, cut off the monetary, the financial lifeline.
The governor and Senator Tarver say that's hogwash.
And choke it to death. Mm-hmm. So even if it continues to exist in Shreveport, it is so small and inconsequential that we'll need for the good of the state, for the good of the people, another medical school in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Now, getting these two gentlemen on the air together, I'm just going to tell you, was a little bit tricky. So we're going to have to be delicate because they both want some rules. They both want to go last. They have, they don't get along, apparently. Well, maybe they get along. They disagree on this issue.
So basically, my plan to have just go 1, 2, 3, go, and have them start shouting.
No, they're not going to shout.
As loud as they can.
No, they've pledged to me they'll be respectful. I was asked if we had a dump button. I said, yes, we do.
Seriously?
Yes. Not going to say by which one, but the one who didn't ask will know who it was. I said, yeah, we do have a dump button. It's a delay. We're good, but there will be some rules.
So what's your first question? I've got mine for Tarver. I've got mine for Mr. Gregg. Look, you said Biomedical Research Foundation sucked. Is there any way you're happy with this deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess, does he like the deal? My question for Representative Glover is, this is still not everything you want. How can it be a manageable deal when you're still going to be desperate for funding? I mean, you're still going to be hurting, obviously, for funding. That's an
obviously,
issue.
Biomedical Research Foundation is happy with it.
I wouldn't say happy, like I told you last hour. I think this is a married couple deciding to go to counseling.
Let me rephrase. Answer. Are both sides unhappy? The deal. Are both sides? Do they both feel like they lost?
Yeah, I think it's more. Both sides feel they lost than both sides feel they won. I think that's how it is.
So the people of Shreveport, are they the losers too?
We need to see the details.
If it's a loser deal, and I know you're just speculating, if it's
Absolutely.
a loser deal, who's the real loser in the end?
I need to see more of the details, and I need to see what they've come up with, in terms of, is this a long-term arrangement? Is this we'll let you do it for another year, and we'll see if you're a good boy and behave. We're watching you. If it's that sort of deal,
And is the poker game over?
Oh, no. BRF is still on the couch and will be on the couch probably for a little while longer.
News Radio 710 Keel Fletcher has sports just a couple of seconds away. Senator Tarver and Representative Glover just after 7:30. In the meantime, 7:19, Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty. This part of the show powered by Abalone Door and Ironworks, raising garage door standards one home at a time. News Radio 710 Keel. Time for sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. LSU's Darius Geis and Ethan Posick earned SEC honors this week for their efforts in the blowout win over Missouri Saturday. Geis, who racked up 163 yards and 3 touchdowns in the trouncing, was named the Offensive Player of the Week. Posick earned Offensive Lineman honors for helping the Tigers plow through Mizzou for a school record in an SEC game of 634 total yards. The Tigers may need a duplicate effort from Geis this Saturday when they visit Florida in the Swamp. Leonard Fournette is questionable for the game after missing last Saturday's date due to his injured ankle. Also, the hurricane that is churning toward the East Coast could also wreak havoc with the game in Gainesville set for Saturday at 11 a.m. The Major League Baseball playoffs begin tonight with the American League wildcard game. Baltimore visits Toronto in an AL East one-game showdown. The National League wildcard game is tomorrow night with San Francisco facing the Mets in New York. The Rangers take on the winner of tonight's game in the AL Division Series. Cleveland and Boston start their American League Series Thursday in Ohio. The Cubs await the survivor of the Giants-Mets tussle in their Division Series with Washington hosting L.A. in Game 1 of that National League setup on Friday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Everything's still looking nice and clear this morning for your drive to work or school, but expect some normal traffic delays on Uri Drive and Southfield Road. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today. Probably close to about 90, 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature's warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
Good morning, 723 News Radio 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty, and he's fading fast, Matt Parker.
Yeah.
I need a
fading
drink.
at 6 o'clock.
That doesn't sound so bad. The problem with drinking at lunch is I always wake up about 4 o'clock feeling like I have the flu.
Yeah.
Where if I drink at night, then I've got all night for it to for my body to recover while I'm unconscious, and I wake up feeling okay.
Right.
In other words, about 6 or 8 hours sleep is fine when I'm. But if, a couple of margaritas at noon, I wake up at 4. I'm just, you don't want to hang out with me.
Are you going to National Night Out stuff tonight? There's a bunch of stuff all over.
I have plans for this evening.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I got to get the fungus off the shower curtain. Stuff, just
You're invited. AC Steer, they're doing a big deal at AC Steer. That's the first one. I'm sure the mayor will stop there. The
Actually,
chief.
there is, in my neighborhood, just off Stratmore, they have National Night Out stuff every year. They have hot dogs and balloons and parties and strippers, and I just made that last part up.
This isn't your dad's apartment.
But, if you'd vote for me for the Homeowners Association, by God, we'd have strippers. It's on you guys, not on me. About a week or so ago, was it last week? Maybe a week and a half ago, I was the moderator, the MC, at a local political get-together that featured a couple of Donald Trump advisors. Retired Naval Admiral Charles Kubik, who is Trump's national security advisor, and a young lady named Stephanie Jason, who is basically, she's an advisor also on international affairs. And I think I was talking to Matt about it, not so much you. The presentation that Ms. Jason gave that night about civilizational jihad, about the invasion of Europe and to some degree the USA by thousands and thousands, hell, in Europe, hundreds of thousands, millions of Muslim, of Middle Eastern immigrants, is not by accident.
Right.
So I asked the following question to them, well, specifically to Ms. Stephanie. I said, I saw an article a couple of days ago, and this is legit stuff. I saw an article a few days ago, and this is going back about a week and a half. Saw an article that said in Sweden that authorities in Sweden say that because of the Middle Eastern migrant problem, that there are so many no-go zones, no-go neighborhoods now in Sweden where police have completely lost control, that they won't even go anymore. So by default, in many neighborhoods, in areas of Swedish cities, Sharia law rules. And I saw that, and then I was thinking about the article that we had specifically regarding Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Yes.
A city outside, a town of 6,000 just outside of Atlanta, where they plopped down 2,000, 2,500 Middle Eastern migrants. And you look at it and you realize that across America, in hundreds and hundreds of they're not moving the Muslim migrants coming to this country, we're taking into this country. They're not putting them in New York or Los Angeles or Atlanta or Dallas. They're putting them in these little bitty towns across America.
Yep. Did you see what Governor Abbott just did yesterday? Said no more in Texas. One of 3 states to say no more in our state.
If you have a town of 5 or 6 or 7,000 people, and suddenly the federal government, in association with all these international charities, plops down 2,000 or 3,000 people in an instant, in a heartbeat, not only does the size of your town double, but in the blink of an eye, 25, 30, 40% of your town is an American and has no real desire to assimilate and no real desire to become American. So imagine, Shreveport has how many people? 250,000, let's say.
250, something
Imagine
like that.
Let's do the same percentages. Imagine if the federal government suddenly tomorrow put 100,000 Middle Eastern migrants
in our town.
What do you immediately create?
They would take over.
It's a no-go. You immediately have a no-go zone.
Yeah.
And what Ms. Jason said, Stephanie said, do you think this is an accident? Do you think this is happening? Just like the southern border. If you have no borders, you have no country, you have no national sovereignty. And if you don't think that's not part of the plan, if you don't think creating no-go zones of migrants who have no desire to really be American, they just want out of wherever they are.
They want,
And you plop them down somewhere and they can recreate.
Wow.
Their own little fiefdom.
Their kingdom, yeah.
Totally unaffected simply because it's impossible for American governments, small-town police, to have any control over them. So you, in a heartbeat, are creating hundreds and hundreds of Sharia-ruled no-go zones. God. Not what I said. That's what she said.
Yeah.
News Radio's That's What She Said. News Radio 710 Keel 729. Aaron, local news up next. You can listen online at 710keel.com. You can listen by downloading the Radio Pup app for your smartphone or digital device. That info is coincidentally on the website at 710keel.com.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive and Southfield Road, and it looks like the beginning of some heavy backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
No big changes just yet to our forecast. Likely going to see sunny skies across the area today. Warm temperature readings continue to warm up even more. Forecast highs today close to about 90, 91 degrees with the south or southeasterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And still no rain in our forecast. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Shreveport records its 34th murder of the year. Matt Parker has that.
3 men were shot Monday afternoon in an exchange of gunfire on Travis Street. Corporal Marcus Hines says that the Shreveport police aren't really sure what happened. All he knows is that 1 man is dead and 2 others injured. Police originally got called to the 1200 block of Travis because a victim there was suffering from a gunshot wound to the hand. A short while later, officers received reports of 1 man being fatally shot and another being transported to the hospital because of a gunshot wound to the abdomen. The incident remains under investigation. I'm Matt Parker, News Radio 710 KEEL.
The governor's chief attorney says the state has reached a renegotiated management deal with the operator of the LSU charity hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe. The governor's executive counsel, Matthew Block, says he hopes to have a signed agreement within days with the Biomedical Research Foundation. The reworked arrangement comes less than 2 weeks after the governor moved to remove BRF as the hospital's manager because foundation leadership refused new contract terms. A Woodlawn High School student arrested for terrorizing the 16-year-old girl allegedly posted threats to fellow students and teachers on an Instagram account called Wally Clown. Tonight is National Night Out in Caddo and Bossier parishes. Several local leaders will be out and about in neighborhoods, at cookouts, and at parties. The one and only vice presidential debate between Republican Mike Pence and Democrat Tim Kaine is set for tonight at Longwood University in Virginia. The stakes will be lower than the 3 presidential debates, but will give each largely undefined candidate a chance to make a mark on a national audience. Hurricane Matthew's pounding through the Caribbean, with Florida prepared to get what comes next. Meteorologist Dave Roberts with the National Hurricane Center.
I would have to think the direct hurricane impacts are certainly possible in Florida later this week. We could expect tropical storm or hurricane watches issued sometime on Tuesday for portions of the peninsula and possibly even the Upper Keys.
All counties in Florida remain under a state of emergency today. The LSU Tigers easily passed their first test with interim head coach Ed Orgeron at the helm. What will he do for an encore? The Tigers had over 600 yards of total offense against Missouri, but the opponent Saturday, Florida, has much more talent. Coach O says offensive coordinator Steve Ensminger will have a good game plan.
We're going to expound on our package. Obviously, we're not going to show them the same thing and run the same play this week and give them what they expect. Steve and all is going to make some changes this week. We're going to see what we can do. But also, we were very effective in doing the things that we did, so we don't want to completely get rid of it.
Expect the Tigers to establish the run with either Leonard Fournette or Darius Geis. Orgeron's not sure, though, if Fournette will be able to play on Saturday. He's already missed 2 games this season with an ankle injury. Lots of sunshine today with our high temp close to 87 degrees. Right now, it is 63. I'm Erin McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
News Radio 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. And State Representative Cedric Glover is here, and we will be joined by Senator Greg Tarver in a couple of seconds. So we won't talk about the hospital deal or that yet.
Yeah, we have to have equal time. We have to have some rules.
But since you and I are always talking about like fun stuff like movies and stuff, did you at all? I need you really close to that mic. Thank you. Did you go to Film Prize this weekend?
I went to the brunch and didn't get a chance to see any of the actual film.
Oh, my God.
But
you've got to see The Stand.
Well, now, I heard you guys talking about it, so I'm looking forward to catching up afterwards. But I spent too much time standing around talking at the Central Art Station to actually make my way into the theater.
As is your wont.
As is my usual habit, yes.
Did you go last year?
No.
So you haven't seen last year's winner, the bespoke tailoring of Mr. Bellamy?
No, I have not.
That is, I got to tell you, the best movie this year was the one that won, and it's called The Man from Mars.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. There were so many great movies this year.
But your visual description of The Stand from yesterday
was unbelievable.
So
Isn't that amazing?
I could not imagine anything being better than what you guys
recreated
here right within the studio.
I voted The Stand number 3. The
best better?
One, yes. The Man from Mars was better, and there was a comedy called, and I said this yesterday, if you want to win that $50,000, don't do a comedy. The judges, I don't know about, because it's 50% judges, 50% audience. But and I sense it's going to be, God, this is going to sound horrible. I sense it, I don't want to say they're just looking for the heavy stuff, man. You know?
Grab the heart.
Yeah, well, they want symbolism, and they want they want just heavy stuff and social commentary and political meaning, and there was a little movie called The Importance of Sex Education with a 12-year-old that starred this 12-year-old girl.
Got the Best Actress Award.
I
met her on Sunday.
Hysterically funny.
Outstanding.
It was riotously funny,
look that up.
and just about all 3 of those that I voted 1, 2, and 3, which was The Man from Mars, Sex Education, and The Stand. I unless you're there, it's hard to understand. You get so immersed in these 15-minute movies that it seems like they're an hour long in the best way ever. Are we tracking down Senator Tarver? We will get into that. There's a deal between the state and Biomedical Research Foundation. Is it good? Is it bad? Are there particulars? Is everybody happy? Is it a kumbaya moment for all of us in Northwest Louisiana? We will discuss up next. Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty, Keel News Radio time, 7:39 traffic time. Rapid Ruben, where you at?
Looking at some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. And it looks like we got some backed-up traffic on North Market and I-220. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today. Probably close to about 90, 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature is warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
Good morning, 742. Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty on News Radio 710 Keel. Okay, so give us the particulars. The deal is done. Biomedical Research and the state of Louisiana have reached an agreement for biomedical research to continue operating their sort of management deal.
Yep, the governor's in Cuba, but they did release a brief statement saying they've reached an agreement. It came from Matthew Block, his executive counsel. Biomed will provide $37 million in additional payments to LSU doctors for their services at the hospitals, and the hospital operator will also pay nearly $7 million that LSU says is owed in unpaid bills.
So joining us to discuss this deal, the particulars, what they know, what we might not know, is State Representative Cedric Glover, and on the phone is State Senator Greg Tarver. Mr. Greg, how are you this morning? We've already said hi to Mr. Cedric.
Good morning to each one of you all. Good morning, Cedric.
Good morning to you. Let me ask you first, Senator Tarver. Is this a good deal for Shreveport and University Health?
Well, I don't know if it's a good deal, but I know it's a deal that is not completed yet. Everybody talking about signing a contract, but I'd like to see the first signature on the contract. They got 3 or 4 people that need to sign, the president of the university and other people, and I've heard that they did not like what is in the contract. So I really don't know if it's going to be a contract or not. I'm going to wait and see.
I was just, my first question for you, Mr. Gregg, was going to be, you had 1 or 2 unflattering things to say about Biomedical Research Foundation. Given the fact that the deal is done, is there anything that could be in that deal that would make you happy about the deal itself?
Well, let me say this to you. I've been in this political game a long time, and politics is compromised. And I'm willing to work with anyone that is willing to deliver good services, good healthcare services to the people, regardless, whoever it may be.
Cedric Glover is joining us this morning, too, and he has been, you guys have been on the opposite end. Cedric, what do you know about the deal? What does it do for Shreveport and our community?
Well, let me first of all say good morning to Senator Tarver as well, and I'm delighted to be here with both of you all. I think what we have here is some actual real movement on the part of the governor and the administration and the folks from LSU, a realization that there are a lot of folks here who are just simply not willing to accept a reversal in this situation, and they were committed to staying at the table until something got done. I think what made that possible, however, is the outstanding work that has been done by the university health employees over the last 3 years. Some folks who had their lives turned upside down when this thing started in October of 2013, but who put their shoulders to the wheel, have made the best of it, and have actually made the quality of care there better and given us greater value and a higher level of service both here in Shreveport as well as in Monroe.
Mr. Gregg, you and I had talked a couple of times that we've had you on, and we sort of likened this back and forth between the state and Biomedical Research Foundation as sort of a poker game. If that analogy is still legit, are both sides winners, both sides losers, one winner, one loser? What do you think? What's your assessment?
Well, only the people can be the losers in this situation. If you go to University Health, and if you're a patient of University Health, if like I am a patient, and I don't know too many elected officials are patients of University Health. I think the University Health got a good deal. I think the LSU Medical School, I hope and pray that they stop arguing and fighting each other and move forward. Regardless, if you don't like the deal, it's a deal, and you got to move forward with it.
What about you two gentlemen, Mr. Glover? Are y'all kind of coming closer to how you feel about this deal?
Well, from my perspective, here's the thing that I thought was very crucial to getting this done, and it's something that the folks from the Biomedical Research Foundation, or BRF, have been asking for since the very beginning, and that is to be able to resolve disputes between themselves and the medical school and LSU through binding arbitration. That is something that the state, the governor, the LSU folks, the med school folks would never be willing to accept. It was very similar to their premature effort last year in filing lawsuit to end the contract. And they went to court, and the judge told them, guys, you haven't put forth a good faith effort to try and resolve and address your conflicts. And so he threw it out. And so now what you have is a means and a mechanism by which the issues, the conflicts, the problems that may develop in all relationships, and obviously particularly in this one, now have a venue, a form by which they can be effectively addressed, resolved, and put behind them, and it allows things to go forward.
Cedric, you had made reference more than once that you believe there is a faction of South Louisiana politicians who wanted our medical school. You've said they're trying to choke off Shreveport in any number of ways. Do you believe that this morning that group is a failure? Do you think they were working behind the scenes to keep this agreement from being reached?
I know that the Baton Rouge Area Foundation released in December of 2015 a 150-plus page report that says the thing that they need to do is to create a healthcare district in Baton Rouge along Perkins Road, O'Neill Lane, and that the real key to making that work is the development of a full 4-year medical school that allows them to be able to have a comprehensive academic medical center in Baton Rouge. That is something that they are working towards. It is something they intend to have, and I have no expectation that the state is in a position to have a medical school in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport.
Senator Tarver, you have told us all along that the med school in Shreveport has never been in jeopardy and never will be. Do you still feel that way?
Well, yes, I do feel that way. Been dealing with the medical school since I've been in the political life in the Senate for 26 years. The medical school is solid in concrete. It's going to move forward. The only thing jeopardize it is the people who fight LSU Med School at this particular time. And we have a lot of people in Shreveport that are fighting LSU Med School. And this has got to stop. Because if we lose LSU Med School, we lose an economic engine up in this area.
Mr. Gregg, do you think that this deal will, in the long run, make University Health and make the med school here stronger than they've ever been?
Well, I'm only can deal with today, tomorrow, not 10 or 15 years from now. I hope that they work together, but some things got to change. Let me give you an example. University Health got to start paying their bills. Like the elevator. They have 10 elevators up there, and only 3 of them working. The pacemaker, they owe the pacemaker man. They owe the garbage people. They got to start paying their bill. They owe LSU Med School. Regardless, they might be arguing how much they owe, but we know they owe LSU Med School the minimum of $10 million. The med school cannot exist unless they're paid. And these problems got to stop because you cannot deliver good health care services if you don't have supplies, if you don't have up-to-date equipment. And right now they have a lot of antiquated equipment, and at the same time, people still waiting up there 6 and 7 hours on a doctor and being there for a long time. So we got to do better than that.
And pardon me, Greg, you have previously blamed biomedical research for those problems, right?
Well, let me tell you, if you don't pay your bills, the only person you can blame is yourself. Biomedical research did not pay their bills. When you have a credit rating of 3 or 4 or 5, no one is actually going to give you that type of credit. When people deliver supplies, COD, and you don't have the check ready and they take the supplies back, that's not delivering good health care services.
Cedric, does this...
About the people, I'm concerned about the delivery services to the needy people.
Does this address that? Does this deal address those things?
Well, but it should, if it goes forward as it should be. Right now, the state of Louisiana owes BRF $70+ million. BRF owes the state of Louisiana and others about $30 million. Now, if we hold your $70 million, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to pay your $30 million. And that's part of what has been at play in the entirety of this situation. What's got to happen from my perspective is that the folks at the Capitol, the folks with LSU, have simply got to do better by Shreveport, Monroe, and North Louisiana in order to be able to not only allow the medical school to survive. The objective is not for it to survive, it's for it to thrive. It should be a vibrant, growing, big part of the North Louisiana economy that has the potential to create jobs, opportunity, entrepreneurs, and elevate the level of wealth in this region. If all we're going to do is be able to just kind of trickle along while New Orleans and Baton Rouge continues to get the lion's share of the opportunity and resources in this state, then we're not going to be able to grow and elevate this community. I'll give you an example. I've always paralleled what's happening at the LSU Medical School to what's happening at LSU Shreveport. 4 years ago, there were 4,000 undergraduate students at LSU Shreveport down on Uri Drive. Today, fall of 2016, there's 2,500. That's a 1,500 loss of students in the last 4 years that nobody's talked about yet at this point. But those are the types of things that are happening to the institutions of North Louisiana because the folks in Baton Rouge, the folks in New Orleans end up prioritizing their needs over ours. As I related to you guys last time we talked about this, you look at the level of funding that has been committed in 2015 to the LSU hospital in New Orleans. $411 million from the state compared to $153 million for the state for university health. That's not right. It's not fair.
Senator Tarver, those numbers, it seems like they're getting more of their share. Do you agree?
Well, let me say this to you. That's not completely true. I think that you need to really look at the budget. I think he's distorting the whole budget. Let me say this to you. One of the reasons why New Orleans get more money than Shreveport because it's much, much larger than the hospital in Shreveport. That's number one.
Well, we have more beds in our hospital, though.
No. Let me say this to you. They have more people who have needs in that area, or low-income people. They have a lot more of them. That's the reason why they get the money, because they perform the type of services that they get the money, number one. Number two, they have contractual services down in New Orleans that they do not have in Shreveport. Now they do have contractual services in Shreveport. Yes, they do. When you look at those items, when you look at last year, Shreveport pulled down 80% of their money by $260 million in October last year, and they failed to pay their bills out of that $280 million that they received at one time. That is the big problem. They're not able to monthly adjust their bills. Why? Because they're spending money on advertisement. For example, $2 million that they spend on advertising. Why would you have to spend on $2 million on advertising for LSU Hospital when people understand and know where it is? You cannot get people from out in Spring Lake to come to LSU. You will have to get the people that is always been serving. Let me give you another example. 75% of the people that go to LSU, the University of Health, are minorities. Now, when you look at that and you look at the employment, the top high-level hierarchy, you see they are not minorities. The reason why a lot of these people do not really get the necessary service is because the people up there do not perform the type of services on these individuals like they should.
Right, let me respond to that, though. Now, the one thing that is absolutely true is that the LSU Shreveport Hospital has always been able to attract a substantial number of private pay patients. Virginia Sheehy, Aaron Selber, so many, Senator Tarver, and others. But now here's what they've also done. Prior to BRF taking over management, they averaged about $15 million per month in private pay, insurance companies and what have you. That number is now $30 million per month. So they've actually doubled the amount of private pay that's actually coming in to the University Health System. But now let's compare Shreveport to New Orleans. 461 beds in Shreveport, 253 beds in New Orleans. 108,000 patient days in Shreveport, 64,000 in New Orleans. Total discharges in Shreveport, 20,435, 10,870 in New Orleans. Medicaid days in Shreveport, 44,000, 24,000 in New Orleans. State supplemental funds for New Orleans, $411 million, $997,000. Shreveport proposed supplemental funds, $153 million.
Mr.
Tell me
Gregg?
how that's fair.
Well, let me say that it still distorted the figures. Let me tell you something. Number one, when they said private pay, it's not insurance all the private pay. Medicare is private pay. That is how they classify private pay at LSU Med School here in Shreveport, at University of Health. It's not insurance. It's not insurance. It's Medicare, not Medicaid. Medicare. They look at Medicaid care as private pay, and they use these monies to pay the lease on the buildings and everything.
Mr. Gregg, pardon me. We're down to the last couple of minutes. Do you think that this deal is going to get the shadow, all those threats that have been over our shoulders for so long, is sort of going to get rid of those for a while?
Well, let me say this to you. LSU Med School is here to stay, like I said before. No one will try to take LSU Med School. No one will get LSU Med School. LSU Med School is in cement in Shreveport, Louisiana.
I know y'all want to, before we wrap, because we're going to get hit by a hard break, your message, Representative Glover, to the employees, the folks at University Health and the med school this morning.
Thank you for performing in a way and a manner over these last 3 years that made it impossible for Governor John Bel Edwards, that made it impossible for the folks who are on the other side of this issue to be able to ignore the work, the quality, the performance that you guys have done. And it put us in a position to be able to stand our ground and to make sure that we got this done in a way that is fair to you all as the employees, so that you would be able to more effectively and better serve the people of North Louisiana. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.
Senator Tarver, our last minute, your message to the folks at University Health and the med school.
The people is doing a good job, an excellent job at the hospital. It's not the people that are working at the hospital that's the problem. It's the hierarchy, the higher administration of the hospital is the problem. But the people have been a superb job. I know because I go there. Cedric Glover don't go to the University Hospital. I go there all the time for different type of tests and everything. And was in the hospital there about a year and a half ago. Stayed 3 or 4 days. What I'm saying to you is they're doing a super job. The employees are doing a super job there. And I hope they continue, but I'm only concerned about the administration, not the employees, because the employees are superb.
Senator, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Almost a half hour. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much, Cedric Glover. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, guys, and certainly look forward to being able to monitor this issue as we go forward to ensure that what has been promised actually ends up being delivered.
News Radio 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. Let's see. Fox News is on the way.
They were nice to each other.
Fox News is on the way. Aaron's got local stuff.
Can I say I go anywhere except WK?
Fox News is on the way, and Aaron's got the local stuff just after 8 o'clock. News Radio 710 Keel. The high today is going to be about 85 to 90, a little warmer, currently 63. News Radio 710 Keel. We'll be right back.
The KEEL Morning Show with Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Good morning. It's 8:03 at News Radio 710 KEEL. Robert and Aaron. Big news. Aaron's got the stories just a couple of seconds away.
BRF and the state have an agreement. We'll talk more about that. A teenager accused of issuing terrorist threats at a local school. And the search committee looking for a new UL system president recommends a really familiar guy.
So Biomedical Research Foundation, they're going to be sticking around with LSU, with University Health and the medical school. Who's happy? Who's unhappy? Is there a winner? Is there a loser? We will discuss. Let your sports, traffic, and weather on the nines all coming up this hour right here, News Radio 710 KEEL.
The KEEL Morning Report. Now on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Governor John Bel Edwards and BRF have successfully renegotiated a management deal that keeps BRF operating the LSU charity hospitals here in Shreveport and Monroe. According to a statement released by the governor's office, BRF will provide $37 million in additional payments to LSU doctors and pay nearly $7 million to LSU for unpaid bills. The governor hopes to have a signed agreement on his desk in the next couple of days. Online threats lands one Caddo student in jail. Matt Parker has that story.
A 16-year-old Woodlawn student is behind bars after they allegedly posted threats on social media. According to police, the student made posts on Instagram Sunday night claiming they would kidnap and kill students and teachers from Woodlawn and Fair Park. The juvenile was arrested and booked for terrorizing. Caddo Sheriff's deputies are still investigating the incident and say other arrests could be made. I'm Matt Parker, News Radio 710 KEEL.
The search committee looking for a new president for the University of Louisiana system has recommended one candidate to the full board for consideration. Dr. Jim Henderson, president of NSU in Natchitoches, is the only name submitted to the full board. He's expected to be interviewed on Thursday. It's not a walkout, but a walk-in at several Caddo schools this week. Red River United President Jackie Lansdale tells us what it's all about.
This is just a recognition of public education and the fact that it is the promise to boys and girls all over our nation, the opportunity to have a bus pick you up every day and transport you safely to school, to have a teacher waiting for you behind closed doors, and have a nutritional lunch.
Lansdale says everything kicks off at 7:20 Thursday morning at Keithville Elementary Middle School. Shreveport has its 34th homicide of the year. 3 men shot during an exchange of gunfire on Travis Street. Officers say that Shreveport police aren't sure what happened. They know 1 man is dead, 2 others were wounded. Louisiana travelers now able to get federal ID for future domestic air travel as the State Office of Motor Vehicles started issuing real ID licenses. OMV Commissioner Karen St. Germain says you'll need this type of ID in order to fly domestically without a passport beginning in October of 2020.
If you're not as a state, well, then they won't recognize your licenses to be able to board. You'll have to have other identification.
St. Germain says the new Real ID licenses will cost $13 for a 4-year duplicate and $17 for a 6-year duplicate. New Orleans has made changes to its sanctuary city policy. State Attorney General Jeff Landry tells us what's new.
About 72 hours before I was slated to testify in front of the U.S. House, the Department of Justice and the City of New Orleans Police Department capitulated on a policy that they currently had and recognized what we had been saying all along, is that the policy that they had in place was violating federal law and could jeopardize their Department of Justice funding.
Landry says New Orleans needs to allow law enforcement officers to ask the same questions they ask American citizens in their custody. More than 800 Northwest Louisiana high school students will tour facilities and training providers during Manufacturing Week. Angie White with the Northwest Louisiana Economic Partnership says a lot of businesses are involved this year.
If I remember the numbers, the breakdown correctly, we have 24 manufacturing sites, which means it's a manufacturing facility, and we have 5 manufacturing training programs that all signed up to be tour sites this year.
The goal to educate students about modern manufacturing. A couple pleads guilty in federal court in Mississippi to arranging fake marriages for friends and business associates from India. They could face up to 10 years in prison. Plenty of sunshine with our high today near 87 degrees. Right now it's 65. I'm Erin McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
This news brought to you by Twin City Appliance. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty once again for our buddies, our boys, at Twin City Appliance. Repairing appliances is it's all they do. They don't sell, they don't install, but what they do better than anybody else in the Arklatex is fix any appliance around your home.
You got burners on your stove that are on the blink. You got an ice maker that isn't cranking out ice. They can fix it. Any appliance around the house, your microwave, your range, your compactor, your washer dryer too, they'll fix it all.
And factory repair as well as out-of-warranty service, and they honor most extended warranties too.
Largest appliance servicer in the market.
All the techs certified to the highest level currently offered. Now that requires that they pass a certification test given by the manufacturer. On average, Twin City Appliance folks score 80, 85%, even higher.
Give them a call today, 318-688-0253, or check them out online, twincityappliance.com.
Good morning, News Radio 710 KEEL. A little traffic info, Rapid Ruben. He's got it right now.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on 3132 near Linwood Avenue. And it looks like we have some traffic delays on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
No big changes just yet to our forecast. Likely going to see sunny skies across the area today. Warm temperature readings continue to warm up even more. Forecast highs today close to about 90, 91 degrees with the south or southeasterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And still no rain in our forecast. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
News Radio 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty over yonder. Looking better than a body has a right to quote the great Dolly Parton, is the one and only Matt Parker.
What you talking about me?
Looking better than a body has a right to also.
What kind of body?
He's lying.
So
I had something to say real quick about yesterday, and you got me in a lot of trouble with people that love roaches and ants and all that.
No. Let me back up. We were talking about the PETA protest.
Yes.
And the quote was from the PETA lady that animals are thinking and feeling creatures that don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And
roaches don't want to die. They don't want me to step on them.
And you equivocated the intellect of a roach or some other six-legged creature with that of your own dog Tiger.
Yes.
And I said, what on earth, what science class did you go to where you didn't learn the difference between instinct and intelligence?
I didn't learn that part.
And for you to sit and say, oh, look, that little spider is as smart as a horse.
Yeah.
What world are you living in?
Spiders don't have brains? Is that what you're saying? They know when they're hungry?
Okay.
They know when they need to string a web from my fence to my plants?
That's intellect. Let me walk you through.
That's
I'm sorry,
intellectual.
that's instinct.
Oh.
Let me walk you through that. Like Matt on a date. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know why he's acting the way he's acting, but he is. So what you're telling me is that an ant is as smart as a dolphin.
I mean, I've seen some ants, some little bitty ants carry these big old things of crumbs. They're strong. They're powerful, some of them.
I know guys that work out every day. That doesn't make them smart.
Yeah. Well, I when we bring this up, I have to tell you what I was thinking in the car coming here. And y'all are really, you've ever thought I'm a moron, you're going to really think I'm a moron today.
No need.
I can't wait.
I thought if this was all topsy-turvy, and let's say cows did the hunting for humans for their dinner.
I don't know how to break this to you. We don't hunt cows. They
well,
walk.
whatever. If we were the food for humans.
She's going to jump on its back and garrote it with piano wire.
I'm worried that I'm the number one target.
Oh, yeah.
That a cow would go, oh, wow, look at this. Juicy. Loaded
Just
with...
stop right there.
And I'm thinking, but then I was thinking, how far down the chain are you two?
Oh my gosh.
You're kind of an aged piece of beef.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
And you're kind of a young piece of beef. I don't know which one would be more desirable.
I'm veal, baby.
Well, especially working in that little box.
Yeah, closet, no lights.
But I got to work on that. I don't want to be the top target.
Okay.
If animals start to eat humans.
So the deal is done between Mike.
Sorry.
That's it. There's no going back. The deal is done between LSU, actually between the state and Biomedical Research Foundation.
Yeah.
Explain to folks what details we know already.
Essentially, the governor's office, his executive council, reached an agreement with Biomed for continuing the management of the hospital.
Let me ask you, if the governor and the state folks had said all along to Biomedical Research Foundation, our offer's our offer. We ain't moving. We ain't budging. Sorry, take it or leave it. And because we've got somebody else waiting in the wings who will do an even better job than the lousy job you're doing. That's what Mr. Greg said, Tarver said to us last time. He said biomedical research basically sucks. So if the governor moved off the offer by as little as a dime,
was that other offer not as serious?
Or does that mean that biomedical research won?
I don't think either side won. Biomed will pay $37 million in additional payments.
But they're going to get 70 from doctors. The state, right? Was that the total?
Supposedly, yeah. Now they're also going to pay $6.9 million to LSU for some unpaid bills that you heard Senator Tarver outline some of those. I think it's a
fact that Biomedical Research Foundation, a Northwest Louisiana, and Arklatex, a Shreveport nonprofit, the fact that Biomedical Research Foundation, despite the efforts of a lot of people, some of them up here, most of them down south, The fact that Biomedical Research Foundation is still even associated with University Health or the med school, is that a win for biomedical research?
I think it's good that they're still associated, that they reached a deal, but I still think both sides are a little bit walking on eggshells. You're still you're like a marriage in therapy, trying to save it, and Biomed's still sleeping on the couch.
If you're the governor and I'm biomedical research, and you tell me I'll give you $1, not going to give you more than $1. You're not worth more than $1 because the job you're doing is lousy. And $1's it.
Yeah.
And you give me $1 and a dime to stick around after telling me what a lousy job I was doing.
Yeah, but
telling everybody what a lousy job I was doing.
But I wanted $5.
And telling me that you weren't going to give me more than $1.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the winner? Who's the loser?
I don't know, because I wanted $5.
News Radio 710 Keel, Robert and Aaron Fletcher Sports on the way. This part of the show powered by Abalone Door and Iron Works, raising garage door standards one home at a time. News Radio 710 Keel, time for sports. Here's Timmy.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. LSU's Darius Geis and Ethan Posick earned SEC honors this week for their efforts in the blowout win over Missouri Saturday. Geis, who racked up 163 yards and 3 touchdowns in the trouncing, was named the Offensive Player of the Week. Posick earned Offensive Lineman honors for helping the Tigers plow through Mizzou for a school record in an SEC game of 634 total yards. The Tigers may need a duplicate effort from Geis this Saturday when they visit Florida in the Swamp. Leonard Fournette is questionable for the game after missing last Saturday's date due to his injured ankle. Also, the hurricane that is churning toward the East Coast could also wreak havoc with the game in Gainesville set for Saturday at 11 a.m. The Major League Baseball playoffs begin tonight with the American League wildcard game. Baltimore visits Toronto in an AL East one-game showdown. The National League wildcard game is tomorrow night with San Francisco facing the Mets in New York. The Rangers take on the winner of tonight's game in the AL Division Series. Cleveland and Boston start their American League Series Thursday in Ohio. The Cubs await the survivor of the Giants-Mets tussle in their Division Series with Washington hosting L.A. in Game 1 of that National League setup on Friday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive and Southfield Road. And it looks like that traffic on I-20 westbound is backed up from Spring and Market all the way to Airline Drive. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today. Probably close to about 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature's warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
Good morning, 824. It's News Radio 710 Keel, Robert and Aaron, and a quick visit with Red River United Teachers Association President Jackie Lansdale. Hey, Miss Jackie, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm great, and how about you?
Well, Aaron had the story a couple of times this morning about the walk-in that you guys...
Way to North Caddo this morning.
And you guys are going to do that, and I asked Aaron sort of, because, we've had a few conversations over the last 30 or 45 days about certain union displeasures, but this is not one of those. This is more of a rally and not a protest, right?
Well, it really is. Excuse me. It really is about both things because, quite frankly, this is the public's education, and in that vein, you have to be able to recognize the value of public education and to make it valuable. And to make it valuable, you have to support the school and the children. You do that by supporting the people that provide the services, which are the teachers and the staff.
So pardon me.
Awareness of what public education brings to society.
Let's look at a half-empty glass. What are you upset about?
What are we upset about? We're upset about the fact that our new teachers are the lowest in the region. We're upset about the fact that, and we know that creates a huge turnover, which turnovers are costly. And we know that anything along those lines make a huge sucking noise right out of our pocketbooks. And so we just want to make sure the public understands it's incredibly important that we staff our schools with the most qualified people out there, but you have to be willing to fund to do that. We do not do car washes and bake sales.
It also comes in a little bit. The school board's going to vote on increasing your health insurance costs. You obviously want to draw attention to that as well.
Oh, absolutely. And the reason we want to draw attention to that is the fact that once again, and I know I heard that somebody say, well, it's going to be an average of $10. Well, if you're a school bus driver and you're making the square root of zip, $10 is a whole lot of money. And, and maybe that's not much to somebody that's making, into the several $100,000, but to somebody driving a school bus, to a teacher's aide, that's huge. To a single mom that may be teaching and having two other jobs, that's huge.
Just about a minute or so, Miss Jackie. Thank you very much for joining us again, by the way. So let's assume that the school board says, yep, costs, medical costs going up, insurance costs going up. What do you do then?
We continue to bring attention to where we are. We cannot look away. The fact that our schools are dependent upon the services of teachers and school employees, and that we're seeing a chronic turnover rate. We're seeing classrooms that go filled by substitutes, whether they be long-term or day-to-day. And typically we see a lot of that happening in our at-risk schools. That is just something that we find as people that support public education is intolerable. This is a wonderful school district. Urban, 95% stay in there. It serves everybody, and that's what I wanted to express that with this walk-in, the schools we chose to do it with. So what we want is for the community to join with us and celebrate what we do so well, and if we recognize where we need to shore up, and that is in making sure we have qualified staff in our classrooms and not having a bleed every single year.
Is this insurance premium increase enough of an issue that you would say you might call on teachers to do a walk-in or a sick day or something like that, walk out rather, or call in sick?
Aaron, I'm just going to tell you, like I've said before, nothing is off the table because we believe it's just that important. We hope that this district recognizes, and we're beginning to hear them talk about the possibilities and things, but the fact is, it is dependent upon the board to exercise their authority and exercising their supervision of the budget to ensure that teachers and school employees receive a pay increase. So nothing's off the table. The insurance was just another blow by this administration and this board saying in what we consider a very callous way that, okay, this is insurance over on this side, and it's not going to really bother us, so it really shouldn't bother you. That is very unfortunate.
Jackie Lansdale, President, Red River United Teachers Association. No matter what happens, you got the quote of the day, the square root of zip. I'll be using that a lot. Thank you, Miss Jackie.
So much. I'm glad to add something to the conversation.
We appreciate your time as always. Thank you, ma'am. Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty, local news next. KEEL News Radio time is 8:29. News Radio 710 KEEL. Traffic time. Rapid Ruben. Here he comes.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on 3132 near Linwood Avenue. And it looks like we have some traffic delays on Uri Drive and East Kings Highway due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today. Probably close to about 90, 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature is warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
BRF and the governor come to an agreement on a management deal that keeps BRF operating University Health in Shreveport and the Charity Hospital in Monroe. The governor's office released a statement saying that BRF will provide $37 million in annual payments to LSU doctors and pay $6.9 million to LSU for unpaid bills. The governor hopes to have a signed agreement on his desk in the next couple of days. Caddo commissioners refused to endorse the GM settlement. Matt Parker has that story.
The Caddo Parish Commission rejected a resolution to accept settlement money stemming from a lawsuit involving the tenants of the GM plant stripping out materials and selling them. The Caddo Industrial Development Board asked the commission to support their decision to take the $100,000 settlement, but the commission refused to give the endorsement. Commission President Matthew Lynn says he has a problem with the settlement because it disallows any future action against the Industrial Realty Group. I'm Matt Parker, News Radio 710 KEEL.
3 men were shot during an exchange of gunfire on Travis Street. Corporal Marcus Hines says Shreveport police aren't sure what happened. All he knows is that 1 man is dead, 2 others wounded. Police originally got called to the 1200 block of Travis because a victim there was suffering a gunshot wound to the hand. A short while later, officers got reports of 1 man being fatally shot and another being transported to the hospital because of a gunshot wound to the abdomen. The incident's still under investigation. Does Shreveport have its own creepy clown? Angela Thomas with that.
A 16-year-old Woodlawn High School student is arrested for posting threats to fellow students and teachers on her Instagram account. Caddo Sheriff Steve Prater says posts made to an account for Wally_clown threatened that students and teachers would be kidnapped and killed Monday. Other posts threatened students at Fair Park High. Both campuses were searched, and additional law enforcement officers were called in to watch for suspicious activity. The juveniles charged with terrorizing. The Fair Park threats are still being investigated, and other arrests are possible. Angela Thomas, 710 KEEL.
Tonight is National Night Out. Several neighborhood groups are getting together across Shreveport and Bossier. The mayors of both cities expected to be out and about as well. Red River United holding a walk-in at 3 Caddo schools this week. Union President Jackie Lansdale says every child has the right to have a bus pick them up and transport them safely to school, where a teacher is waiting for them.
And all the other things that go with it, and to transport you back home safely every day. That's called the promise of public education.
Lansdale says the union wants residents to understand that in order to invest in our kids, you must first invest in our teachers and school employees. New Orleans has changed its sanctuary city policy. State Attorney General Jeff Landry says about 72 hours before he was slated to testify before the U.S. House, an agreement was made.
The New Orleans Police Department's policy now allows its officers to collaborate or communicate with immigration and customs officials in regards to potential illegal aliens who they have in their custody.
Landry says the state's moving in the right direction, but we can and should do more. Hurricane Matthew moving through the Caribbean, bringing top sustained winds of 145 miles an hour. Right now, the Category 4 storm is soaking much of Haiti.
Flash flooding and mudslides, a big concern for Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And the other big consideration is all of the ocean water levels are above normal, and they can generate a significant storm surge. So anywhere near the coastline on the south portion of Haiti and the Dominican Republic could see very high water levels.
Meteorologist John Cangelosi with the National Hurricane Center says southern Haiti could see 15 to 25 inches of rain, even 40 inches in some parts. Kanye West is rescheduling a couple of tour dates after his wife Kim was robbed at gunpoint in Paris. The concert promoter says concerts have been bumped back to December. Sunny today with the high near 87. Right now it's 65. I'm Erin McCarty on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Good morning. It's 8:36 at News Radio 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, and joining us in studio, Miss Terry Matthews from Gumbo Productions. And another amazing event is, oh my goodness, just barely a week or 10 days away, and it's called the Brew.
It's called Brew.
Let me guess. Would this have something to do with beer?
A little bit of beer. Yeah. We're going to have a little bit
Just
of beer.
a skosh.
It's Saturday, October 15th, but tell me about the night before thing I'm hearing about.
Yeah, we added a new element this year. It's sponsored by Reinhardt Food Service, and it is called Brew Bash. And it's also down at Festival Plaza the night before, October 14th, from 6 to 9. And tickets are only $15, and you can come. There's going to be a burger cook-off, so you get to vote for your favorite burger.
Oh, man.
Great Ralph's going to be down there with some new beers. That you can vote for your favorite beer. Now, the burger winner will get to sample also and brew the very next day. But we're going to have music and entertainment. It's kind of a preview.
This town, this is all of a sudden the last 18, 24 months is turning into this almost this micro brewery hotbed, huh?
It really is. It really is. And at Brew, we're going to have not just the local distributors that are bringing in their imports and stuff like that, but of course all the local breweries will be there with theirs, and then we also have home brewers. You know, that is a big deal. This
how many of those?
It's a big deal.
I know guys that make wine in their basement. Well, if they had basements.
Mm-hmm.
But evidently, this is something else. Making beer at your house,
and those are the ones that that's what make. All the beer makes brew fun, but those are the ones that really make it fun because those are beers that you can't go into a store and buy. This you can only sample them at events such as this, and all kinds of flavors, all kinds of the stouts, the lights, the ales, everything. So
for me, who likes a good dark beer with a nice foamy mustache, I'm going to find a dozen of those, right?
That's right, and you get a 4-ounce pour. You get your sampling glass when you walk in, and you can just sample from 2 to 6. You can sample all the beer you want, and then of course our list of restaurants that we have for food sampling. El Dorado is our title sponsor, and they're there cooking up all kinds of things. And of course, you can go on our website and see we got Nukes, we got Joe's Crab Shack. I mean, we've got a lot of restaurants in
now
this year.
You typically sell out. Brew sells.
We do,
out.
and that's why we're here. We're pushing it because if you're going to get your tickets, you need to get them. Because they'll sell out.
Tweet or get off the branch, as
exactly,
my mommy
because
used
you
to
can't
say.
get it. You can't walk up to Brew, and we'll have a lot of people trying to do that, and you can't. You need to go on your line right now, ShreveportBrew.com, and get your tickets. Now, the night before the event, we got plenty of space, and you can probably walk up and buy those tickets. Although while you're on the website, go ahead and buy those. They're only $15. But yeah, ShreveportBrew.com and get your tickets now.
So
if I want to get a table for my whole group, y'all have that.
Absolutely, you
too.
can buy tables for tables of 8 for $1,200,
and drink and eat to my heart's
drink and eat to your heart's content.
Wow.
You'll get a parking
So you're going to
spot.
singularly buy a table for 12 and just go crazy.
I'm thinking that's the deal. Yeah.
Get away from my table. Just give me the table. Get rid of these other 11
That's right.
chairs.
Oh, and we've got big screen TVs. I mean, it's October, fall weather, beer, and we've got big screen TVs with all the football games. It is an afternoon delight.
So the Brew Bash will be Friday night the 14th,
from
and
6 to
tickets
9.
are still available. Then Brew, the big deal itself, is on Saturday the 15th. Those tickets will most likely be sold out. There is a limited number available, and if anybody wants tickets for both, they should go to
ShreveportBrew.com.
ShreveportBrew.com.
Awesome.
Miss Terry,
Yeah.
awesome as always. Thank
One
you.
more
yes,
thing.
Yes,
okay?
go ahead.
2 weeks later, following Brew, October 29th, down at the Supper Club, which is right around the corner on Commerce Street, Proof, our inaugural Proof.
I had a couple of friends telling me about that.
Liquor tasting, yeah.
Tell me
Scotches, whiskeys, bourbons, tequila, cigar tin out front.
That's what I was going to ask about, that somebody had said. It's basically going to be sort of a guy night, if you will. It's scotch and cigars.
Scotch and cigars.
That sounds like I need to be there.
Yeah, I don't know where
Me and Aretha, Scotch and
we're
sugar.
there. Yeah, and you can get those tickets at ShreveportProof.com.
Cool. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
News Radio 710 Keel, traffic and weather on the way right now. The latest road stuff. What? There's roads under repair in Shreveport? But the glass is half full. Here's Rapid Ruben.
Keeping an eye on a minor accident on Vansfield Road in Burcoon's Industrial Loop. We also just received reports of a minor accident on Clyde Fant Memorial. If you have anything to report to us, feel free to dial your Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Good day, everybody. It looks like another day with lots of sunshine across the area here on your Tuesday. Forecast high temperature readings warming upwards today, probably close to about 90, 91 degrees with a south to southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And rainfall still not in our forecast, but the temperature's warming up. I'm Fox 33 meteorologist Patrick Dennis.
News Radio 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty. It's 8:44. Mr. Jim Henderson. Dr. Jim Henderson is the president at Northwestern State University in Natchitoches. But, Dr. Jim, your name's in the paper again lately. What's the deal?
Well, right now I'm actually up in Indianapolis at the NCAA meeting on the Accelerating Academic Success Program, and that's one of the programs that Northwestern has been involved with that has led to our student athletes generating a 3.06 GPA cumulative this last year.
Cool. That is good news. You're in the running to be the University of Louisiana System President in charge of all the universities in Louisiana with the exception of LSU, which is a separate system. How did you get in the running for this?
You know, it was starting last January when they began the search. I got a number of calls simply because I've worked at the system level, I've had some of that experience, and so it's natural for people to call. And as they've gone through the search, and Tanya and I have had some conversations, we've seen some of the challenges that have emerged for higher education. It's certainly been there for the last decade. But then we started talking about some of the opportunities and the ways that we could impact not just the 10,000 students at Northwestern State, but 90,000 students across the state. And the immense opportunities there were just something we said, you know what, we need to have this conversation with our board.
You know, Dr. Jim, one of you a second or two ago, you said the challenges, and I would think the biggest challenge about that job would be the financial aspects, i.e., the lack of money. Given the state's financial situation, bluntly put, why would anybody want this job?
Yeah, that's a great question. But, you know, it's not just a shortage of money. It's about this transition from being primarily state-supported institutions to now being primarily student-supported institutions. And one of the ways we've been successful, both at Bossier Parish Community College, of course, at Northwestern State, is realizing that the incentives that creates for you to be a very consumer-driven enterprise, to have the student interest as your number one focus. Now, beyond that, tuition has gone up substantially over the last 10 years to offset some of the state disinvestment in higher education. We've got to figure out a balance there. We have priced a lot of our students out of made it unaffordable for them to go to college. So we got to figure those parts out. And so it's not just the lack of money, but it's this total balance, this total picture. How do we maximize access and ensure a quality product for these students?
Jim, we've also cut top scholarship programs. So a lot of kids have lost that funding and maybe looking out of state. Is that something you would hope that state government and the leaders restore?
I think that there's plenty of room for reform to TOPS. However, I think that we've made a commitment to these students. These students that are in school now came on a promise of TOPS, and hopefully our policymakers will continue to look for solutions to TOPS. I know that the governor has voiced immense support for TOPS. Almost every legislator has said, TOPS is something that's a very high priority for them, and I look forward to working with them to solve this challenge.
So when you interview for this position, I guess later this week, when you sit down with everybody, all the big wigs that you sit down, is this an interview you actually prepare for, or is it just something like you Donald Trump debate it?
Yeah, you wing it. You just go in like, Trump did with the Clinton debate. You saw how well that worked for him.
In other words, you're prepping as we speak.
We live in this world every day. And so anytime I've gone to any kind of interview, it's authenticity is what I hope shines through. Now, I deal with these numbers every day. I deal with students every day. And so hopefully that experience comes through. And most importantly, I hope they see the desire for Tanya and me to really have an impact on students across the state.
If you're offered the job, do you know today that you'll accept it?
We've had some conversations, and when I go in, I go all in. And so if we come to terms with our board and we share the same vision, then most likely, yes, we would accept that position.
Where do you live if you take the job? Do you get to stay there? Do you move to Baton Rouge? Can you live on Mars? What's the deal?
You probably could live on Mars, but we will most likely live in Elon Musk has not gotten that program up off the ground yet. So more than likely we would live in Baton Rouge. The office is in Baton Rouge, and that's where a lot of the conversations have to take place.
Well, good luck with that interview on Thursday. We thank you for your time this morning. I know you're out of state and busy. Thanks for stepping out of your meeting for us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for your interest. And listen, this is all about students. The future in Louisiana is bright if we develop talent. And University of Louisiana system institutions and all of our universities, that's the business we're in. So it's all about the students.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty. KEEL News Radio time is 8:49. Fletcher and Sports is on the way, and Your Money Now is up next on KEEL.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Louisiana Tech is hoping some defensive depth chart shuffling that paid off in a win over UTEP Saturday carries over to Thursday night's date with Western Kentucky. The Bulldogs are 3-point underdogs at home to the visiting Hilltoppers. The Dogs' defense was gashed by Texas Tech and Middle Tennessee, but rebounded to limit the Miners to 7 points. Granted, Tech isn't alone in struggling against the Red Raiders and Blue Raiders, who rank first and 10th in the country in total in total offense. Several moves on the defensive side of the ball paid dividends Saturday, with fresh starters Damarian King leading the squad in tackles with 12 and Russell Ferris next with 10. Western Kentucky brings a prolific passing attack to Joe IE Stadium for the midweek Conference USA showdown, leaving little room for error for Louisiana Tech. Minnesota improved to 4-0 with a belting of the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. The 24-10 win was keyed by the Vikings defense, who have allowed only 50 points all season and harassed Eli Manning into 20 incompletions, and also limited Odell Beckham Jr. to just 23 yards receiving on 3 catches. Without Adrian Peterson, the Vikings are relying on their defense and an error-free Sam Bradford to power the ship. Bradford was inefficient, 26 out of 36 for 262 yards and a touchdown. Minnesota picked off Manning in the third quarter, running their turnover margin this season to a league best, plus 10. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
News Radio 710 Keel 854. Robert and Aaron, I have a question. Well, first of all, there's an old Neil Young album called Rust Never Sleeps.
Mm-hmm.
Given the fact that we've now got this deal between Biomedical Research Foundation and the state of Louisiana, and I guess it'll come out in the wash who gave, who got, who won, who lost, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
But, and this is one of the things that Representative Glover and Senator Tarver disagree on, but I think it was a point made during their conversation in the 7 o'clock hour by Representative Glover that there are still factions of politicians, of power brokers, of movers and shakers in South Louisiana who don't like the fact this deal is done, who can't be happy with the fact that our medical school, they want our medical school.
Yeah.
And they want it either to shut down and somehow reopen, reincarnate down there, or they just want to choke off our medical school up here, inch by inch, bit by bit.
Right. Well, the truth be known is when the medical students moved from New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, they moved them to Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge got that taste in their mouth of having a medical school.
You've said that before. So here's the point. Given the fact that, as Neil Young once said, rust never sleeps, you have to assume that the rust, that is these power brokers, these politicos, these movers, shakers in South Louisiana, aren't going to sleep, aren't going to give up on somehow trying to by whatever means necessary, pilfer our medical school.
I don't think I think you're accurate. And I'm of the opinion, you want our med school, give us your vet school.
What does that mean?
Well, Baton Rouge has a veterinary school.
Are you being serious when you say that?
I mean, that would never happen, but you can't have both. You've got a law school, you've got a veterinary school. We need something up here. You heard Cedric Glover say we've lost 1,500 students at LSUS. Come on.
It really goes back to what you and I and everybody in this part of the state really knows.
And I'm from Baton Rouge. I'm an LSU grad.
People in that part of the state don't think of Shreveport, Bossier City, Northwest Louisiana as part of Louisiana.
No, they don't.
Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, News Radio 710 Keel. Right now, Sean Hannity time, right here on Keel.